When I was a new principal, I had a lot on my mind. We had a lot to do, a lot of changes to make, and when I first heard about childhood trauma, I thought, I don't have time for that. I've got teachers to evaluate, curriculum to implement, data to analyze. I don't have time for childhood trauma. What I quickly learned was it doesn't matter if you've got time for it. Childhood trauma is going to impact your school setting anyway. Kids who have experienced or are experiencing tough things are not going to come to school learning ready. They're going to struggle, and the more we ignore it or pretend it's not real, the worse it'll get. However, there is hope, plenty of it. When I partnered with licensed clinical mental health counselor Kristen Sowers, we shifted a lot of adults' mindsets, implemented a ton of strategies, intervened with students, and the positive results started pouring in. Kristen and I subsequently wrote a couple of books. One is Fostering Resilient Learners, the other Relationship Responsibility and Regulation. And our third resource, a workbook for educators we've co-authored with Keith Orchard, is on its way. During that period, I've learned quite a bit about childhood trauma and what we can do to mitigate the harmful effects of it on students and in schools. Here are 3 big ideas that can have a profound impact on a school environment. Number 1, trauma and stress impact the child's ability to think clearly, connect, and learn. Flight, fight, freeze is our default setting when we're experiencing fear, and we do our best work in what Dr. Dan Siegel calls our upstairs brain. The more we teach our students self-regulation skills, the better equipped they are to handle stressors. Number 2, we cannot control what happens and what has happened to our kids outside of our schools and classrooms. However, we can control the environments inside our schools and classrooms. We must remain regulated as grown-ups, and we must build a culture of safety, as Kristen refers to a safe, consistent, predictable nest for students. Number 3, trauma is a word, not a sentence. Trauma is a personal response to an event, and just because we experience something traumatizing doesn't mean we need to be defined by it. In fact, for kids who come from hard places, as Keith says, the parts of the brain that have been neglected or impacted can be rebuilt. Childhood trauma is real, and it impacts students' learning, relationships, attendance, behaviors, and the entire school setting. With strategic, calm, consistent care, we can support each and every one of our students.